Have you ever tried renting an apartment? Ugh, right? The thought itself is exhausting. Endlessly scrolling through apartment listings, filing out long and tedious applications, and all for what? No response from the agency or the landlord. And after a seemingly endless and painful process, you finally end up settling for a subpar place, thinking it couldn't get worse than this. But wait a minute. Just when you believe the worst is over, your agent or your landlord decides to make your life harder still. You find out you have to pay extra more than discussed for unexplained reasons, the ingoing condition report is completely fabricated, and the leaking tap you complained about to your landlord is still leaking 2 weeks later. And you sit and wonder that it must be nice to be the landlord instead. Or is it? While it may seem easy to be the landlord, I'm sure every one of you who has ever been one would disagree. You either have to go through hundreds of applications with a fine comb or trust an agent or agency that doesn't care about your property because you're just one of the others. And after carefully selecting the applicator, after a rigorous inspection, you trust them with your property only to be betrayed. What once seemed like the perfect option suddenly becomes the number one stress in your life. Every day, you receive complaints from your neighborhood about the tenants wreaking havoc. The rent never arrives on time, and every property inspection date makes you riddled with anxiety and fear because you're afraid to see all the horror your house has been subjected to.
Problems and opportunities COVID created in the world are anxiety. Traditional businesses have been badly affected by COVID, and many traditional businesses closed down due to COVID also. Obesity and other chronic disease, difficult to find places to rent. People used to communicate by social media instead of face to face. But the opportunities that COVID created are the cheaper rent to live in CBD during COVID, work from home with saved time for traveling, getting more me time to rethink about stuff, and many new mobile applications are created for people to help to communicate, something that can be used to extend or develop. Less waiting time for lease approval for renting an apartment or house. So, after discussing a lot of problems and opportunity during COVID, we came up with different ideas like easy renting with limited agency trouble, students and corporate people who aren't able to meet in person for their projects and assignment, renting a place and the easy process for the renting, the grocery availabilities pickup and delivery from local vendors, or an app that allows local vendors to put up their small businesses and facilitate deliveries once customer place orders. In 2020, it's also hard to travel globally due to national travel restrictions and flight dropping. The flight price is going high. The other are mental pressure, need of virtual goods and services, severe disease and physical activity of people facing mental health issues due to isolation, depression, and anxieties. Writers having issues writing in books online on Kindle. After discussing that opportunities COVID had created in this world and different ideas for a startup, we started a research and came across a few articles, research paper, and videos that people have faces as landlord, as tenants, regarding finding a house or landlords facing difficulties for the tenants.
The questionnaire design, we use the Google Form as our survey platform. We designed the question for both the tenant and landlord. Out of 32 respondents, 23 were tenants and most of them had found their property using websites such as Real Estate Domain. When asked what kind of problem they face in the process of renting, we found out that nearly 57% of them had to go through too many rejections without getting any proper response or feedback, while some of them had even faced the issue of getting no response at all. About 78% of the tenants understood the importance of maintaining a good relationship with their landlord, and well, the rest, so it could be a good idea. Importance of it. The questionnaire for landlord was designed to find out what kinds of platforms are used by the existing landlord and the people who were planning to rent out their property in the future. Well, most of them reply on websites like Real Estate Domain and so on. A few of the people also find tenants their place using Facebook Marketplace or their friend contacts. For the issue the current landlord face while trying to find tenants for their property, most of them choose high agent or agency commissional charge, lack of the proper communication with the tenant, and unnecessary maintenance costs. The time-consuming application process also creates a hindrance for over 40% of the people. For the improvement of the process, most of them wanted to simplify the application process, better communication with the landlord, and time. In the accept of the problem statement, for the tenant persona, Daisy is an international student and need a way to rent a property near the city area because it is a time-consuming process. For the landlord persona, John is a landlord who owns a property in Caulfield. He wants to rent to a family because families are more organized.
The primary and secondary data collected by us proves that there is a need for solution for both tenants and landlords, and hence we've come up with our smartphone app RentSmart. RentSmart is an application that provides the perfect solution to the majority of problems faced and addressed in the Google Forum questionnaires. With our first ideation stage, we thought that RentSmart is the solution for the main issue here, that was the lack of transparency from both the tenant side and the landlord side, where the tenants were complaining of lack of constructive feedback and the landlords were complaining of lack of transparency between the agents and the tenants and who they are renting their house to. We figured out that the problem here was the lack of relationship between the tenants and the landlords, and we came up with a compatibility quiz, like a personality quiz, which would show the tenant and the landlord how compatible they are with each other. Some of the initial feedbacks within the group and feedbacks collected from personal interviews highlighted certain areas of concentration as to what could be the business model apart from regular real estate commission rates. And an important feature that we wanted to further explore and develop was the chat box feature to raise common maintenance issues between tenants and landlords and sort them out in a more systematic and transparent manner. Although the risks we had discussed were somewhat common to the nature of the app, but the one that we kind of focused more was where someone can question the genuineness of the quiz, the compatibility quiz. That is just something that's up to the users. We can try to make it as less direct as possible, but the people who are willing to go through this effort to value their property will find the right match.
We developed an app where you can find the perfect new home and get to rent it from a person you're actually compatible with. RentSmart connects you to a landlord based on your compatibility with them, so you don't have to stress every time you have to contact them. It will help you simplify a previously complicated and hectic procedure. Not only you can easily rent an apartment with our exhaustive list of property features and benefits, but you can also seek the landlord that's truly right for you. The process of finding your home has never been simpler. Simply sign up to the app and set up your profile based on how long you're looking to lease, the location you want, and the property features and amenities you desire. You can even upload your background information, rental history, and other related documents on your profile, so you don't have to go through the tedious procedure of individually filing out the details for every landlord. These details will be kept private for your security until you decide to give access to the landlord you choose. You will also have the option to get your background verified with one of our specialists for once and all win the premium version of our app, which will significantly improve your chances of getting response back from the landlords. Once you're done setting up your profile, you will be prompted to take a short quiz to find the right match for you based on your compatibility with the landlord. Your results will be shown on a scrolling screen as such, with the best property and landlord match on the top. As you scroll down, your compatibility score with the landlord will decrease, and once you have exhausted your list, matches based on your desired property features will follow. And if you are the landlord, our app will help you find the right person for your beloved property, someone who loves and takes care of your house as much as you do. Simply sign up for our app and set up your profile with a few easy steps. Select the duration you want to lease your property, the available property features, and the images and videos for your property. You will also have the opportunity to elevate your profile by getting your property checked and verified with one of our specialists and getting featured before everyone else with the premium. Then, simply take a short quiz to find the right person to lease your property based on your compatibility with the tenant, and wait for responses as the profile reaches the right audience.
The prototype we've developed presents a further refined model of the chat box feature from initial feedback stage, as it shows the renter raising a common maintenance issue with the landlord, and it is up to the landlord to address the issue and take it forward. Once the landlord decides to approve the request, they are given the option to choose the service provider with their specific quotations for the service. The service providers listed on the app will pay a subscription fee to be listed and referred to users, which acts as an additional revenue model for the app. The landlord and tenant choose the service provider and the issue is resolved, and they can end the chat.